Another minute or two, and we'll get started. So if you're waiting to get started, I put in the description props that you might like for today, and it's pretty much the usual bunch of props. Blocks would be handy for part of class. That's really the main one, unless you like to sit up on something. I'm sitting up on a bolster today, or a chair you could use if you need. You might want to have a strap or something similar to a yoga strap handy. You might or might not need it later. You can always get by without it if you don't want to bother getting it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. Let's see. Come to a comfortable seat. I am working myself on poses that are opening my hips. So I'm going to be sitting in Sukhasana more than Virasana, even though I prefer to sit in Virasana, because I want to start to get things a little bit opened up. So you'll notice I'm sitting up on a bolster, which is pretty high. So my hips are about the same level as my knees. Okay, so the thighs are level. This is a good position to come to if you're the kind of person like me, when you sit down cross-legged on the floor, your knees are poking way up. If you're in that position, it's hard to sit up, and it's going to cause a lot of gripping and tightening in the body. Here, I can allow the thighs and knees to descend. So that's why I'm sitting like this. Feel free to sit any way that's comfortable, because we're not even working so much with the legs at first. We are going to start with a mudra. In fact, we're going to do 2 mudras, but they're very similar to each other, and it takes very little movement to transition from one to the next. So we're going to start sitting up nice and tall with Padma mudra. Padma means lotus. So this is the lotus mudra, the gesture of the lotus, and it is specifically for balancing the heart chakra, right here. So you're going to bring your hands together in front of you, just your regular prayer hands to start with, and then keeping the thumbs touching each other and the pinky fingers touching each other, and the base of the hand, the heel of the hand touching, each one touching the other. Open up the rest of the fingers. So when you look down, there's like a little cup in the center there. So this is similar to the lotus flower. Your fingers are the petals opening up. So once you have that, I'm going to show you quickly the second mudra we'll move to after a few breaths. It's called Ananta mudra. Ananta means bliss. And it is the gesture of unity, making us feel that we are at one and there are no separations. To create Ananta mudra, Ananta. You keep the base of the hands together, the heels of the hands together, and open up the hands completely. So the pinkies and the thumbs are no longer touching. All right, so let's do Padma mudra first. We'll do that for a few breaths. You can have the eyes closed or half closed, or just gazing down at the floor in front of you. Make sure the shoulders are aligned. So even though your arms are in front of you, you're not hunching the shoulders forward, letting the shoulders roll back a little bit so you can sit up tall. And then focus on your breath, holding Padma mudra. And just taking some nice, long, slow breaths. Doesn't have to be any more specific than that. And noticing, of course, our hands are right in front of that heart chakra, which is called the Anahata chakra, which is why I was getting confused with Ananta and Anahata. But Anahata is the heart chakra. A couple more breaths in and out through the nose. And then at some point over the next couple of breaths, go ahead and transition your hands to Ananta chakra. So the fingers reach away from each other even more. And the only part of the hand that's touching the other is the heel of the hand. And you might notice when you come to that position, you naturally want to lift your hands a little bit. Continue breathing nice and long and slow breaths in and out through the nose. And Ananta Mudra is associated with the crown chakra. So moving from one mudra to the next, you can focus in on the connection, energy rising from the heart to the crown chakra, the seat of enlightenment, where we can start to feel a lessening of a sense of separation and an increasing sense of unity. Slowly over the next couple of breaths, bring the hands back together to touch in prayer position. And then slowly release the hands to your lap and slowly open the eyes. So we are going to work a lot with the arms today, always with the focus on how the arms feed into the whole pose. So we're going to start just with a little bit of exploration of the shoulder. So just take one hand to the opposite shoulder, it doesn't matter which one, and gently start to feel around the very outside of your shoulder here. So the very outside is kind of rounded and feels like mostly kind of muscle. You feel some bones underneath there somewhere, but feels like kind of muscle over top of everything here. Start to bring the fingers a little bit more around to the back, and then you'll feel some bone there. You might feel like a little knobby part of the bone right in the back. So it's not really on your back. It's just part of the shoulder itself, but there's a little knobby bone part there. And then from there, start to kind of crawl the fingers further back. So you're going onto your back, in towards your neck, and you might come to a kind of bony ridge there. So this knobby bone right at the end, or the maybe kind of like the back corner of your shoulder, is part of what's called the acromion, or the acromion process. You don't need to remember any of the names of these things. Then that bony ridge that goes back from there along here is called the spine of your scapula. Scapula is your shoulder blade. So what this means, my whole point in all this anatomy, nerdy anatomy talk, is that this bony thing, this knobby thing right out here, the back corner of your shoulder, is part of your shoulder blade. Okay? We usually think of the shoulder blades as the scapula on the back, and that's where most of it is. But there are parts of the shoulder blade that extend out, those are called the processes, One of them is this acromion process. So it is actually part of your shoulder blade that comes all the way out to here. So we'll do a couple things, movements with the arms to start to feel what this is all about, and how we can use it in our asana practice. So start by just reaching the arms straight out to the side. You might even want to do one arm at first so you can feel that same area. You could switch sides. Have the palms down at first. And notice how when the arm is lifted out, there's kind of a continuation from that acromion out to your upper arm bone. It's coming in line. So feel that at first on one side maybe, and then you can reach both arms out. Now sometimes when we lift the arms out to the side, they're just kind of like hanging out there. What I'm going for, what I want you to try to feel is if you could think of your upper arm bone, the humerus, coming in line with that acromion to form a line all the way from there to that ridge of the shoulder blade. And all of that action is helping us feel the shoulder blades come onto the back, as if someone's behind you, gently pressing the shoulder blades like this onto your back. So it's not about bringing the arms behind you. It's not about puffing the chest out. It's about feeling the shoulder blades from that acromion getting lined up and firming onto the back. The whole reason we might want to do that sometimes is because when we get that action, the shoulder blades moving onto the back, it helps us integrate this whole area and maybe you might feel like it's kind of supporting the heart or the front of the chest from behind. Again, not to puff the chest out like you're a soldier marching down the street or something, but you're just supported here instead of maybe, the opposite would be kind of like this. The shoulder blades are doing nothing and you're collapsing in here. So this way we can integrate the front and the back of the body. So holding the palms down at first, we're going to feel that. And just take a couple breaths, reaching the hands far away from each other. And then next, just turn the palms to face forward. And then check again, is the arm going straight out to the side? Shouldn't be forward. You don't need to try to bring it back either. You just want to go straight ahead and see if having the palms facing forward changes or reinforces that shoulder blade firming any. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Now from here, we're going to keep the arms reaching far apart. We're going to engage the core to lift up and lengthen the spine, sitting up nice and tall, letting the thighs descend, and all of this to lead into a couple of side bends. Very simply, keeping the arms in line with the shoulder, taking a side bend over to your right. Maybe the finger touches the floor, maybe it doesn't matter. You're just going to go over and then inhale and exhale over to the other side. We're trying to keep this line straight through the arms, across the collarbone in front, and the shoulder blade, the spines of the shoulder blades behind. Okay, so the spine curves side to side when you do your side bend. Just try that a couple times. You can try a couple times with the palms down, and then a couple times with the palms facing forward. And just slowly going through that a couple times. So it's a subtle movement, this firming of the shoulder blades that I'm talking about. It's not a big visible kind of movement. It's something you'll feel, but it's subtle. So if it's still a little bit mysterious, because you haven't really thought about this before or really tried to feel something like this before on the shoulder blade, don't worry. We're going to do a lot more throughout class that maybe will illuminate it a little bit more for you. So after a couple times doing your side bends, just rest your hands down on your lap for a moment. And then we're going to think about using our arms in other positions. We'll do that more throughout class, but for now, just one. Bring your hands in front of you. So the hands are just in front of your shoulders, elbows bent, and tucked right along alongside your body. So here, you can still create that kind of feeling, tucking the shoulder blades, maybe thinking of a connection from the outer shoulder back, like a little hook or connector or clip. Another teacher I take class with calls this clipping. You can think of it as clipping. She's talking about it in a little bit different way than I am right now, but it's still a connection there. And then slowly start to push the hands straight forward. And notice maybe now you can't get the same exact kind of connection with the arms reaching forward, because now the shoulder blades do have to move. We'll do some others with the arms up and other things later. So for now, let's just do a little seated cow and cat, and then we'll come back to talking more about the arms in a moment. So just have your fingers tucked in front of your knees. Inhale, arch, look up, and then exhale, round back, scooping the belly in for your seated cat. A couple more times like that, inhaling and exhaling. So here, you can notice what is going on with the shoulder blades when we're doing some completely different things with the arms. Don't worry about the shoulder blades moving around on your back. That's natural and normal, and it supports the arms when we let the shoulder blades move. Sometimes they even kind of do a little rotation, kind of like this. You need to let that happen. What we want to avoid is the feeling of the shoulder blade popping off the back, which we'll do on purpose to see what it's like in a moment. So come to sit up, and then come forward onto your hands and knees into your tabletop position. From here, you have your blocks in front of you or within reach, and you might want to use them in a moment. So now, with the hands on the floor on your tabletop, you'll notice this is the same arm position as when we had the arms straight in front. To have weight on the arms, the shoulder blade definitely needs to move a little bit. It kind of slides a little bit to the sides. You still can think of firming the shoulder blade on the back. If you want to do the opposite to figure out what that is, what you would do is keep your arms straight and let everything collapse down between your arms. So the front body just sags down towards the floor. So this is a cow that has seen better days, right? This is like your old cow that doesn't have any ab support anymore. You want to avoid doing this because here what we're doing is just hanging off the joints. And this is especially bad for the arms and the shoulder blades. So you want to push into the floor and lift the center of the chest, lifting the spine up a little bit between the shoulder blades. And then you might get back to a feeling of kind of everything's working together. And then firm up in the core as well. And then when you inhale for your cow here, it's a young cow. It's not an old broken down cow, right? Exhale for your cat. Everything's still working together in this cow. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And after this cat, go ahead and let the heels go back. Excuse me. Let the hips go back towards the heels for child's pose and take a few breaths there. I'm going to open some curtains for some more light. So coming up out of your child's pose, come back to tabletop. And now we'll go back into a puppy pose. So at first the arms are vertical in your tabletop. Keep the hands where they are. And as you walk the knees back to go to puppy pose, you'll notice you really do have to shift a lot in the shoulder blade area. Now the shoulder blades really have to rotate to let the arms go up overhead. So come down with the upper body in line with the arms into your puppy, really reaching the tailbone back, pressing the heels of the hands forward. And take another breath in your puppy pose. And then coming forward, we'll transition to Sphinx. So shoulders come over elbows, come down onto the belly, pressing the tops of the feet down into the floor in your Sphinx pose. Inhale. Exhale, slide the hands back, reaching the heart forward. Hands stop around your lower rib cage. And then next inhale brings you up to any height of a cobra, legs still pressing down. Exhale, straighten the arms alongside you. Inhale, locust, legs also up off the floor. Exhale, keep everything up as you reach forward. And inhale back to Sphinx. From here, we're going to come up and back to child's pose once again. So just push yourself up and back and come to child's pose again. Good. And then coming forward, come back to your tabletop. Check that the knees are hip width apart, and then walk your hands back and come to stand up on your shins. From here, you're going to have your hands on your hips. We're going to open the left leg out to the side while we stay standing on the right leg in this position. So this right thigh is vertical. Try to have your right toes pointed so the whole front of the shin, front of the ankle, top of the foot is pressing down into the floor. Left leg is opened out to the side. And we're going to go to a Parigasana first. So what that means is we're going to straighten this left leg out. And notice if you need to have this foot in front a little bit of this, where this knee. So 90 degrees from the right knee over is pretty hard to get to for this leg. You might be able to, but don't worry if it has to be a little bit in front. You're going to try to get it open as much as possible, but don't force it or start to turn to that side. For this Parigasana, we're going to start with the left hand open inside the left leg. So it's pressing a little bit back there. And the right hand is going to come up, the palm is facing forward. I don't know if you can see that on the video. Just have both the hands in our original palm forward position. And then we're going to inhale the right arm up and exhale, side bend over towards the left. Both palms just still facing forward. Inhale back up. And then rebend this left knee. Starting off with the knee over the ankle. We're just going to take a little lean into that left knee. So if this bothers your knee or your Achilles, you can always just scoot this foot a little bit more forward so that when you lean into it, the knee is not bending as much and maybe it feels a little more supported. That's totally fine. Either way, wherever the foot is, we're just trying to lean into it. So you'll notice there's a lot of stretching going on. Maybe in the hamstring, maybe in the groin, maybe the inner thigh of the right leg. Just leaning, leaning, leaning. If possible, you could put a block inside the left foot, or you could even maybe touch the fingers down here. So this is like a very mini extended side angle, kind of. We're just really leaning into this left hip. From here, we're going to move into a modified side plank. So if you need to put both hands down, you can, or you can put them on blocks for balance. What we're going to try to do is take this left knee and bring it back, and then reach the right leg straight back. So you end up in a modified side plank. So now we're going to bring the right arm up, have the palm facing forward. This palm is down because it's supporting us, right? The top palm can face forward, and just reintegrate, connect, or clip the shoulder to the shoulder blade. So the shoulder and the shoulder blade are already connected. So it's not like we're doing something that's not, physically, that doesn't have a physical basis. They're already connected, as we know. But sometimes I think mentally there's a disconnect. You might not mentally connect them. You might kind of think of them as two separate things. They're really connected. So from here, this is optional. You can bring your right hand to the back of your head. I mean, that's not optional. I would suggest doing that in any case. This part is optional. We're going to really push into that left hand and see if we can do a little side crunch, knee to elbow. Try that maybe 3 times. Totally optional. And then when you come back down, you're going to come sideways again, right hand still cradling the back of the head. And then we're going to turn as if we want to turn the center of the chest up towards the ceiling. Taking a couple breaths there. Good. Release that right hand. Turn towards the floor to your left side. Coming back almost like towards a tabletop. We are going to come back into a tabletop in a second. But first we're going to lift the right leg behind, point the toes. Inhale, cow spine. Bend that knee. And then we're going to do a really high fire hydrant circle. Lifting the right knee out to the side as high as you can. And then circling it down to find a tabletop position. If you need to reorient yourself on a mat or whatever, you can do that. I'm just going to stay over here. And we're going to do the other side. So just a cow and cat first. And then coming back to neutral, we're going to come back onto our shins. Standing up on the shins again. From here, you're going to do Parigasana. Sorry, I had to think about it. We're going to stay on the left leg and open the right leg out to the side into our Parigasana position. Again, noting that you want to keep the pelvis squared forward. If that means this leg doesn't go 90 degrees out to the side, that's fine. I'm going to straighten that right leg now. Right hand to the inside of the right leg. Both palms facing forward. Inhale the left arm up. And then exhale over to the right side into your Parigasana. Inhale back up. And then rebend the right knee. And just take your lean over onto that knee. So we're not, I realize I turned a little bit to the side. You're trying to stay sideways. And as before, if you need to adjust this foot forward to relieve any strain in the knee or the Achilles, go ahead. If it's not bothering you too much, this is really a great thing to do to increase this range here. Sometimes we get a little stuck in the front of the ankle. So we want to try to maybe open that up a little bit more by stretching the Achilles and calf muscle. Good. So now we're going to do our modified side plank on this side. So this hand can come down to the floor or a block. I try to stay sideways and then take the right knee back and straighten the left leg back behind you. So now you're in your modified side plank on the other side. At first, arms straight out from the shoulders. Top palm is facing forward, and we're going to connect the outer shoulder to the shoulder blade. You should feel, hopefully, that you're kind of finding a balance between the front and the back. They come into a place where they support each other. Good. From here, fix my little wrist thing. We're going to do our side crunches a couple times. So top hand comes down to cradle the head. Really firm up that bottom arm. And then maybe knee to elbow a couple times. Maybe 3 times. And then placing that knee back down. Any amount, try to open yourself up. Turning the center of the chest up towards the ceiling. And then release. Hands back down. Lift the left leg back behind you. Point the toes. Inhale, cow. Exhale to neutral. And then you're going to bend that knee and do a high fire hydrant out to the side. Both knees down. And then back to child's pose. Once again for a few breaths. Exactly 5:30. Halfway through class, I think. Should be about halfway. All right, you're going to come back up to your tabletop. And now we're going to go from here to a high plank and then downward facing dog. So stretch one leg back, the other leg back. Maybe just hold this for a moment, feeling the arms integrating into the shoulder joint. And then finally up and back into your downward facing dog. Slightly bend both knees. And start to walk the feet forward towards your hands. Come to a wide Uttanasana. Let's start off in our regular Uttanasana that we do at this point, usually in class. Knees bent, and just release the arms and shake out the head. Any amount. You can hold opposite elbows, or just leave the hands kind of flopped on the floor. Taking your time. Releasing the weight of the head. And then we're going to try to slightly straighten the legs. It might be a moment where you can completely straighten them, or you might need to keep them a little bit bent. Either is fine. We're just playing with the idea of straightening the legs a little bit more. Place the hands down as far forward as you need to be able to get them flat down. So not trying to go back to down dog or anything, but it could be a little bit forward, up to, maybe a couple feet forward. If it's hard to get them down, you can also widen the feet apart a little bit more. And then you should be able to get them down. If you don't need to widen the feet, don't. Just stay where you are. What we're going to do is let the hips drop back a tiny bit, not so much that you're going to fall, but just reaching back. Inhale. And then on your exhale, you're going to plant the hands forward and rock a little bit forward and try to lift your heels any amount. And then inhale, heels down and rock back. Exhale, weight into the hands and lift the heels. And just go back and forth a couple times like that. Inhale back, exhale, lift the heels. So if you're getting into that position, lifting the heels, think of right from the hip crease. That's what's going up, right? You want to lift the hip crease up any amount. And then inhale back. Just a couple times like that. When you have done enough for yourself for that today, bend the knees quite a lot, sitting back, lift the head, neutral spine, hands and the legs above the knees, and push yourself up to stand. All right. From here, you stand in your Tadasana, mountain pose. Joining the legs, thinking of hugging the outer leg in. That's what's allowing us to join the legs. Not that we want to, get rid of space between the legs, because naturally there's always going to be, some amount of space for most people. Maybe around the ankle or on the knee, there's going to be some space. We don't want to smoosh the legs together completely. We just want to hug in from the outer leg to the middle, to the midline. From here, integrate everything together. So now we're going to lift the arms up in front. Inhale without letting the body shift around. Reaching tall. And exhale, fold forward as the arms come down. Inhale halfway up. And exhale, fold again. Step your left foot back. We're going to do the left foot back first. We're going to come to a warrior two right away. Plant down the left foot, keep the right knee bent, and push into that right foot to come up to your warrior two. So here, we're going to stay for a couple moments in warrior two. This is a pose where we're reaching the arms in that same T position, straight out from the shoulder, but the body's in a, asymmetrical position. Return, the legs are doing two completely different things. So we can still do that connection or that clipping back a little bit. But since it's asymmetrical in the lower body, maybe the arms feel a little bit different. Maybe one arm doesn't want to clip as much. Maybe the front arm feels kind of like a little more loosey-goosey and the back arm is like working more to make that connection. Just notice what is going on. And now, inhale, flip the front palm up and go to your reverse warrior. So the right hand is reaching back over your head, palm down. And then exhale, come forward, extended side ankle. Inhale, spin the chest up towards the ceiling, any amount. And then exhale, push into that front foot, straighten the front leg. Inhale back, reverse triangle. So the right hand is palm down again, reaching back. And then exhale, come up, triangle leg position. And now we're going to do our triangle pose. So you might want to have a block outside the front foot. Let me make sure you guys can see. Okay, good. If you don't have a block handy, don't worry, you can put your hand on your leg. Actually, the first couple times we're going towards our triangle, we're not going to touch the front hand down. We usually think of like that's the goal for triangle, get my hand down, no matter what. For today, we're not going to worry about getting the hand down. We're going to go back and forth 3 times, down and up. The third time, you could put the hand down if you want. It's not required. If your hand is nowhere near anything to touch, to go down on, you're just going to come to, about front arm parallel to the front leg and come back up. So it's actually a pretty good core workout to come down and back up without touching down. Because when you put your hand down, then your weight can shift into the arm and then, it's not as much work in the core. So all that to lead up to our triangle pose. So now you're going to reach your arms out again, your T position, connect the outer shoulder back into the shoulder blade, palms down. And now as we go, let's do an inhale. Inhale first. On your exhale, you're going to go into your triangle. So now we're not side bending as we did when we were seated. We're keeping the spine long and straight and doing everything by tucking this hip crease back into the body. Come down until the front arm is parallel to the front leg, and then inhale back up. That's one. Exhale, coming down, trying to keep the arms In that T position, inhale back up. Last time, exhale down. And here, if this front hand is close to your shin or a block or your ankle or your foot or the floor, then you can put it down. You're going to try to retain both the T position in the arm and also that connection from the shoulder back to the shoulder blade. Good. Keep looking forward. You don't try to look up with this. Good. And then inhale back up. Bend the front knee. Reach the hands forward, either side of the front foot. Swivel onto the ball of the back foot and step that back foot forward. Coming back to your forward fold. Take a couple breaths in, Uttanasana, your forward fold. And then sit back, bend both knees, lift the head up, hands on your legs, and push yourself up to stand. Come back to Tadasana, joining the legs. Let's bring the arms forward. Inhale the arms forward and up. And exhale, fold forward, bringing the hands down. Inhale halfway up and exhale, fold again, and step the right foot back to your warrior two. I'm going to swivel to this side. So now you're going to come to your warrior two on this side. Again, reaching the arms out, palms down at first, and feel that clipping or connection shoulder to shoulder blade. Flip the front palm, inhale, reverse warrior. And then exhale, come forward, extended side angle. Inhale, spin the chest up towards the ceiling, any amount, and then exhale, push yourself back up to warrior two. Actually, I'm going to do reverse warrior. Inhale, straighten the front leg, reverse warrior, and then exhale, come up to set up for triangle on this side. So, again, you might want to have that block there. If a block is too low, you could stack a couple blocks, or you could take the seat of a chair and have the seat of the chair right around outside of the front leg. So for now, again, arms reaching out, T position. First couple times going down, we're not going to try to touch this front hand down. We're just going to come down far enough so the front arm is maybe parallel to that front leg. And then inhale back up. Third time, if you want to touch down, that's an option. So arms out, inhale, and exhale, down. Inhale back up, exhale, down. Last time, inhaling back up, exhale down, either just arm parallel to the front leg, or you can find something for the hand to come to. You're going to try to retain that T position of the arms. I feel like this is going to be, yes. Good. And then press into that front foot to come all the way back up. Inhale. And then swivel to face towards the left foot. Swivel on the ball of the back foot. Let's step back to downward facing dog. And just take a couple breaths, lengthening out in your down dog. Drop both knees to the floor and push back to child's pose once again. So you'll be here. We're going to finish up with Anantasana. So what that means is you're going to come onto your belly and then roll onto your right side. You're going to be on the right side. And this is something, it's possible you will need a strap for this. We're You're going to come onto the right side, propping yourself up on your right hand, propping the head up like so on your right hand. You're going to check out first that you're in a straight line as much as possible. So look down at your legs, see that they're in line with your upper body and this elbow pointing straight up. From here, first we're just going to try to balance on the side of the body. We don't do this a lot, so it feels a little weird. Keep the bottom foot flexed, so the outer edge of that foot can help you balance. You can always keep the front hand down, for now at least, but try to lift it up and see if you can balance without it. So next we're going to do Anantasana. First, bring that left knee in and hug it in. So this is just like when we were doing our modified side plank, and this was the knee that was down. Also similar to Paradasana in the sense that we want to have this leg going vertical, but to get it there, the temptation for most people, if there's any tightness in the hip, is to roll to the back, roll away a little bit, and then it's like, oh yeah, I can get that leg straight up, but you've lost your balance on your side. So don't sacrifice being on your side to getting the knee up. You want to get the knee up as much as you can without rolling towards your back. So you might at first keep the knee bent and just kind of push it back, and you'll feel this inner thigh getting a little opening. And then we're going to try to straighten the leg. Different ways you can do it. You can hold on behind the knee and straighten the leg here. You can get a strap and put it around your foot. Or you can hold onto the big toe and see if you can straighten the leg holding onto the big toe. If you're using the strap, it's fine. You just want to straighten the arm. In other words, my strap's not within reach, but if I had the strap and I'm holding this arm like this, that's undoing everything we've been working on, integrating the arm, right? So you want to have the arm reaching up as if you were holding your big toe, right? If you're holding your big toe, chances are your arm is going to be straight, right? So whatever you're doing, you're going to try to straighten that arm. Now, if you're holding behind the leg here, that's fine too. You're going to slide the hand up to the back of the calf or as far towards your foot as you can to again straighten the arm. And then once you have the arm straight, you're holding on somewhere on that leg or foot or strap, you're going to clip the left outer shoulder back into the shoulder blade. And then I feel when I do that, it helps me balance on my side. Before, I feel like I'm kind of collapsing in the front of the chest, rolling back, my leg is coming forward. Once I clip there, I really come more onto the side and things fall into place a little bit. So hold that a couple breaths and then slowly release and bring that leg down. If you want, you can just roll and turn to the other side. I'm going to swivel so I can still be facing the camera. Whichever way you want to do it, you're going to come onto the left side so we can do Anantasana on that side. So first, propping the head up on the left hand, you're going to check out that you're in a straight line. The straight edge of the mat might help you figure out if you are. And for a moment, check out, or can you balance on this side? So the outer edge of the bottom foot can help you with that. Then you're going to bend in the top knee. Same way. Notice if it's in front, to balance, you feel like you need to roll back. That's normal because the weight of the leg is going forward. You need to counterbalance somehow, right? You want to try to push the knee back, meaning it's going up more towards the ceiling. Still trying to balance. And then see If you can straighten the leg on this side, same way, or maybe a different way than the other side. Strap, holding the back of the leg, or holding the big toe. And again, working with the arm so you can hold the arm straight. Don't do it with a bent arm. That's the only thing. You could be holding here, okay? Well, it's hard to hold here with a bent arm. You're gonna slide the hand up. Well, actually, if the flexibility of the leg is working against you, then you might have to hold the back of the thigh because then your leg would be more like this. It's a lot more work on the leg, but you can do it. Then, whichever variation you're doing, you're going to straighten that arm and then clip the outer shoulder back into the shoulder blade. And take a couple breaths, balancing on your side. And then slowly release the leg. Roll to your belly and slowly push yourself up and back to child's pose once again. All right. And take a few breaths in your child's pose. And for this child's pose, separate the knees wide apart, keeping the big toes pointing in towards each other. And then reach the arms forward. And let the upper body melt towards the floor any amount. And if you need to, you can always put a block or a folded blanket or something under your head if it's not easily coming to the floor. And take a few breaths there. Okay, slowly walk your hands back until you're coming up to sit. Sit off to one side and swing your legs around in front. Coming to Dandasana. If it's difficult to sit upright in this position with the legs straight, you can always, again, sit up on something, such as a folded blanket or two. Roll the shoulders down and back. Press into the floor either side of the hips to lift and lengthen the spine any amount. Maintain the length and height through the spine as you inhale the arms up, reaching tall, and then exhale, fold forward, reaching for the feet. You can use your strap again. You can hold the big toes again, whichever is going to allow you to really reach forward. It might have a similar feeling as when we were doing our forward fold and raising the heels, in the sense that the hip crease here is moving back as the pelvis folds forward over the legs. So here, if you're using a strap or you're holding onto the big toes again, you can use your arms so you're pulling yourself a little bit. Do it gently. If possible, start to bend the elbows out to the side. So now, even though we're not using straight arms, we can still clip the back of the shoulder in. What is happening here, the arms, I'm going to do it sitting up, but as if I were folding forward, right? So my arm is bent like this, and the back of the shoulder, when it clips in, brings the front of the chest a little bit more down towards the legs. And slowly release and come back Just one more way we can use our arms to deepen our poses in all different ways. Come to lie down on your back. We're going to use our arms in this next pose and then not use our arms. Okay, so we're going to see what that's all about. You're going to come to lie down on your back. At first, you can just hug the knees in for a moment and then plant the feet down. We're going to do a couple of different versions of bridge. The first one, we're going to have the feet and legs parallel, hip width apart, as usual for bridge. We're going to be really using the arms for this. You're going to make your hands into fists. Bend at the elbow so the fists are going up towards the ceiling. And then press into the backs of your upper arms to lift yourself up into your bridge. So here, the strength of the arms is helping very, very much to lift up into the bridge. Couple breaths and then release back down. So there's nothing wrong with using the arms to lift up into bridge, but you might not be working in the upper body the same way as if you didn't use the arms. So now we're going to have an intermediate position where we're kind of able to use the arms a little bit, but not as much. So we're going to come back to that T position in the arms. Palms up, reach the hands straight out from the shoulders. Clip the backs of the shoulders to the shoulder blades. And now come up into your bridge. This is a very different feeling in the arm position. We don't usually do bridge like this. This might be the only time I ever teach it. Just to feel the difference. Can you lift up as high as the one before or not? Or do you feel the work happening in a very different place? Couple breaths and then slowly lower down. Now the last one. No arms on the floor at all. Reach the hands straight up towards the ceiling. Notice that when you moved your hands from the floor up, maybe the shoulder blade area had to move. Let it do what it needs to do. Don't try to keep the shoulder blades stuck at any time. And now come up into your bridge with the arms reaching straight up. So it's a little more work in the core, maybe in the glutes. And then reach the arms way back behind you. Couple breaths there, and then slowly back down. So again, just noticing which allows you to reach, to lift up higher in your bridge, and which maybe works the core, maybe the glutes a little bit more, maybe the hamstrings a little bit more. Good. And then once again, hug the knees gently in towards you and rock side to side a few times. And we'll just take this to a gentle spinal twist on the floor to finish up. Keep the knees close to each other and close in towards you. And then just let them come over to one side. So they should be coming kind of a little bit up towards your shoulder on that side or the arm on that side. And reach the arms out, palms up once again. Letting the legs settle down of their own accord. So maybe the top one is a little bit up. Don't worry about it. For this time, this class, we're not going to use the arms. Sometimes you use the arms to help the legs come down. This time we've done so much with the arms, I want you to be able to rest the arms. So just let the weight of the leg itself bring the knees closer to the floor. And if one is popping up a little bit, so be it. It's fine for today. Couple more breaths. And then slowly roll onto your back, bring the knees up. Check out again, are they close into you? And then let them go over to the other side. Keeping the arms stretched out, palms up. Putting the weight of the legs themselves just heavy down towards the floor. And then when you're ready, roll onto your back once again. You can take a moment to hug the knees in again or do a happy baby, anything that you might like as we get ready for Shavasana. So when you're ready, release the feet down to the floor. And if you're going to do your Shavasana lying flat on the floor, from here you just push the legs forward and then let the feet roll open. Let the legs relax. If you prefer to do your Shavasana on the couch or putting your legs up on the seat of a chair or your couch, you can do that. I'm going to have my legs up on the bolster. Just find that comfortable relaxation position for yourself. Here, I often find when I go to Shavasana that I need to tuck the shoulder blades on to my back a little bit. When I first lie down, I feel like the shoulder blades have slid out to the side, and that makes the front of the shoulders pop up and it feels like I'm closing off here. So I just gently tuck the shoulder blades in towards the spine. So check out if you might like to do that. As with everything setting up for Shavasana, it's a very individual experience. So you might not have the same tendency. As long as you feel like you're not closing off the front of the chest, you wouldn't want that in any case. So get yourself situated, turning the palms up, and then try centering breath a few times. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling softly through the mouth. After a few rounds of centering breath, go back to breathing in and out through your nose. Otherwise, releasing control of your breath as much as is feasible. And then taking a quick scan around the body to make sure you're releasing as much sensation of holding or muscular effort as you can. Paying special attention to the face, the eyes, the jaw, where we tend to hold on to a little bit of tension. Just sending some breath into those spots to see if they can just let go a little bit more so you can rest more fully. Taking a moment to lengthen and deepen your breath once again. And then slowly start to wiggle the fingers and toes. When you're ready, bend your knees, stretch out the arms, and roll over onto one side. Keeping the eyes closed or half closed. Take a couple more breaths on your side, and then gently push yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Bringing the hands together once again in front of the heart center. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed class. Please send me any comments or feedback. I would really love to hear from you. And I hope everyone is staying well and safe, and I'll see you soon.